I have a video that is going to help you if you are in a twin flame separation phase, or if you're in a relationship, maybe with someone that you think is your ultimate soulmate, someone special, and you know that it's a deep divine connection and it doesn't deserve to be tarnished with our human dysfunction, defects. I'm going to talk about in this video how communication isn't something that we are just born with, it's something that we learn. And so I'm going to share the 3 communication killers so that you can avoid getting stuck in a twin flame separation just because there's a gap, the wires are crossed, there's miscommunications happening, there's projections and judgments, and all of the steps that can easily be cleared or that can intentionally be cleared with solid, healthy communication. So, unfortunately, in the whole spiritual community, the twin flame community, YouTube community, there's a lot of misunderstandings. A lot of people are attracted to this topic because it's a fantasy. It's a magical thing. Like, I have definitely a deep magical child that loves love, and it brought me into a lot of painful situations and troubles. So what we want to do is to not just think that a twin flame will solve all of our problems, because that's what a lot of young people do, a lot of people who are immature, a lot of people that have these flighty fantasies of finding somebody that will just fill all of their holes. Well, really, your twin flame is your whole mate. Your twin flame is somebody who reflects your wholeness, and no relationship is going to be fulfilling if you're carrying family wounding, ancestral patterns, dysfunctional communication patterns, toxic self-hatred. If we have these dysfunctional patterns in ourselves, and we're all human, we're all working on our things, but the biggest, I'd say, myth in the twin flame community is if he just texts me back, and if he just wanted to be with me, then I'll be super happy. It's like, no, there's a reason you're pining after somebody who you think is your twin flame, and he's married to another woman, or he's cheating, or he's treating you like dirt, and you're taking it, you're loving it. So I know that's not you. I know that you're a woman of integrity. Just kidding. I've been there too. If there's a part of you that resonates with any of that, there's no judgment, because I was in love with somebody. You might know my story already. He was going to Harvard and getting his PhD from fancy, political science, and I just thought I had won the lottery, that I met my twin flame. He was going to answer all of my pains and sorrows, and it was what I was finally waiting for. And then when he left me and he didn't come back, and he said he would come back, and then he was like, I need more time, and then he actually moved on to somebody else while we were separated, and he did never come back. It was such a waste of my energy, such a bruise on my self-worth that was already bruised. And I know so many women in this situation. I do not want this for any human being. And a big part of why I went through a lot of pain, and why a lot of my clients and students go through this, is because of communication gaps that don't need to be there. So let's clean this up. Let's learn the 3 biggest mistakes that are made in relationships, especially what I've seen with twin flame couples, so that you can move forward with ease, flow, and grace. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So I made this beautiful slide. Let's take in a deep breath and just connect to our throat chakra. So the throat chakra is where we store our communication capacities. And I work with women that have had really blocked throat chakras. Sometimes they get constant colds and end up getting sore throats a lot, or their voices kind of quiver, or they get to a momentous point in their career. Maybe they're speaking on stage, and it's like they just feel like they can't even talk. Maybe it shows up as thyroid issues, or even throat cancer, something like that. A lot of women are drawn to certain things a lot of people are drawn to things that mirror their pain. So they might enjoy smoking, that gives them a cough, or be attracted subconsciously to certain foods that create phlegm, because they need to create an energetic mirror or a physical mirror to what the energy is. So just notice this chakra. How does it feel while you listen to me talk? How does it feel in your body when you're talking to your beloved, when you're connecting, when you're texting? And know that when you are with your fullest radiant light body, your your rainbow body, all of your chakras are spinning, that's when you're going to feel that sexual, primal, tantric, kundalini, full body, whole mate, twin flame union. And it does not come from just wishing on a star, just hoping that he texts you, hoping that you go on a date, hoping that she becomes this wonderful person. It's about us mirroring within ourselves the fullness of our soul. So before I even start, just pointing out that working on your own communication skills and your own fifth chakra through sound healing, through singing, through speaking up, through writing, through expressing, through talking to people about things that are bothering you. I sent a message to somebody I was collaborating with in my business, and I knew she wasn't going to like it. And it was like, wow, it was so freeing. It was painful, it was uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, she hasn't responded. She must be, going to do her own thing. And I got my clarity that I needed. I'm no longer investing my time and my energy with somebody that is not capable of communicating. So sometimes it takes facing our own rejection as well. And I've been making some video drops about divine feminine abandonment wounds. For the feminine, our biggest wound is abandonment. So to master the twin flame union, to master healthy relationship spaces, to master ascension, etc., we have to balance our feminine and masculine, right? Everybody kind of knows this. So if we are mastering only one side and we're more in our, let's say, our feminine energy or a masculine energy, what it can look like is we can be super protective of our emotions and hide and want to show the world that we're totally fine. But really we have to face our biggest wounds, and the feminine's biggest wound is being abandoned. So if you haven't been rejected yet, then just know that you're not ready for a twin flame union yet until you've gotten that through that school of hard knocks. And when you get rejected and you love yourself, that's when you know that good things are coming. Maybe they come back, or maybe somebody else is your person that's meant to come through, but trusting that journey. Okay, so I'm Dr. Amanda Noel. If you haven't found me before, please subscribe to the channel. I drop videos 3 times a week-ish on the divine feminine, on twin flames, on creating an incredible relationship with yourself and your partner. And it really starts, my message is about self-love and the divine feminine within, empowering that aspect of ourselves. So at Aphrodite University, we teach women how to become certified love leaders, certified twin flame alchemists, life coaches, love coaches, and we have programs to help women step in and become their own soulmate, to call in their life partner. And our students end up finding oftentimes their twin flame, getting married if they want a legal marriage, or an alchemical sacred union, and often also end up launching their businesses in the divine feminine healing arts and love, including twin flame coaching, which is really awesome. So here are the 3 reasons why his or her communication is blocked. The first one is that many times we are more focused on our own thoughts than what we are really receiving from our partner. We're thinking about what we're going to say next rather than really fully paying attention and listening to our partner. So the result is they will feel undervalued and unimportant. So why this happens is because we're often all of us on some level are still working on early childhood self-esteem wounds. A lot of us didn't feel loved. A lot of us didn't feel good enough. A lot of us were schooled to believe that we had to get the answer right, and we had to be smarter than everyone else, and we had to keep up with the Joneses. And even then, there's always someone better than us. And it's this never-ending, not good enough story. So when we have our third chakra, the third chakra relates to self-esteem. When we don't feel good enough, we're often talking to ourselves about how we're good enough and trying to justify and focusing on that. And that can create an inward downward spiral, trying to solve a wound that really just needs to be cleared and healed, but we're playing into a wound, I should say, in a dysfunctional, toxic way, instead of having all ears for the person we're connecting with. So what it can look like is escalations, arguments, miscommunications, raising voices and you can't hear, and then there's all this energy. Maybe there's even I want to fight you, aggression, messy emotions, and people aren't taking responsibility and really listening. So active listening, which I've done some videos and trainings about this, and I'll be talking more about it. is where you're really sitting and you're paying attention and you're not defending yourself. You're not focusing on yourself. You're fully focusing on them and taking it in. And then you take a pause and a breath. And if it's your turn to speak, then you'll come from a place of having fully listened. So this is one of the biggest mistakes. And I challenge you this week, if you're talking to somebody or even your person, it could be a family friend, your mother, anybody at work, when you're triggered and there's something that you don't want to hear them say, listen very closely. Scan even how you feel when you're listening, but listen fully. Listen to what they're saying, listen to beyond the words, and hold that space and look in their eyes and help them feel held. And you'll notice it doesn't even matter what they're saying. They're like, wow, thank you for listening. And sometimes if people feel unheard and they have low self-esteem wounds, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter. It's never going to be enough. So can you still actively listen when they're telepathing you, you're not listening well, you're not doing it right, and I hate you? And that might be their early childhood wounding story, but can you listen actively and hold that love and light? And it's like a foster child. They might want to push you away. I've been abandoned, I've been wounded. If you keep listening actively, they'll feel safely held enough to go, wow, you're really sticking it out with me. You're listening. Using negative language. So I talk about nonviolent communication, but any negative language can really think about our communication bubble as a sacred temple, a temple template for a twin flame union. And if we're throwing words in like, you're always doing this, you never listen to me, you never open the door for me, you always put me down, you're always so hard on me. So these are things that are going to be like a black cloud in the temple. We don't want this. It's like a mold, a toxic mold, black mold. So, and I say black mold because I believe that when we're putting these words into the house, into our sacred temple, into our communication field, we actually can create diseases, fungi, parasites. So people with family dysfunction will often parallel things in their body and have immune disorders and issues with the health. So we want to actually keep our energy light, not just for our relationship, but for our health as well. So using negative and critical language, reversing that, turning it out of an argument and staying positive. Instead of you always, you can say, when you did this yesterday, or when you did this, and if you can state it very clearly, like when you did this for the third time this week, when you interrupted me for the fifth time this morning. And I've been keeping track because when you do that, I feel hurt. And you really use those I statements. I feel hurt. I feel sad. I feel angry. And you say I, and then you fill in an emotion. You don't say, I feel like I want to kill you, or I feel you're a bad person. Then we can move forward and avoid the conflict. So the conflict, actually, we want to use facing the conflict to avert the conflict. So it's kind of the opposite. When we try and avoid, it doesn't work. It blows up in our face later. It's like a bottle that you just push it down, add a little bit more, shake it up a little more, and then it's going to explode. So while conflict can be uncomfortable at first, avoiding it can just lead to bigger problems down the road. It could be a divorce. It could be the twin flame honeymoon ends, and then all of a sudden you're just stuck in a relationship where you resent each other, and the sex goes away, and the joy goes away. So it's important every time there becomes a little bit of a tightness in the relationship. And I wish I'd gotten this training before I met my partner, because we didn't have this teaching. One of my specialties, my main specialty, is helping people call in their ultimate soulmate. And I'm really good at that. And I've had to learn through my own relationship and through taking trainings of nonviolent communication and counseling and doing research and trying it out day in and day out in my relationship, what works. But I wish I had some kind of twin flame handbook, and that's why we teach our 11 phases of twin flame alchemy. And one of the phases is communication. It's called communication, communicating in the union. Because we had some problems. I was an avert conflict. I was an avoidant, emotionally avoidant person. I would just be like, it's okay, it's fine. I'm a people pleaser. I love him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll joke over it or something. And then eventually we got into a twin flame separation phase. And I've had to learn that any little thing that's kind of a trigger, to just own it. Say, hey, when you said this, I felt kind of hurt. Or when you didn't clean up the dishes in the sink, I felt frustrated because I've been cleaning them up every time. And then he might say, well, thank you for sharing that, but I've been really exhausted because I've been doing both of our taxes. Oh, that's a good point. Thank you. You did do the business taxes, and that was a lot. Thank you for sharing that. So bring it up, clean it up, take responsibility. Two big girl, big boy with their panties on, whatever. You got to be two adults in a relationship here. And most people have not gotten this training. We saw our parents kind of bickering or shutting down, avoiding, trying to be nice, trying to be good Christians, real happy little mom and dad, and it just doesn't work that way. We have to, if we're going to be in a twin flame adult union, ecstatic, erotic, beautiful intimacy, we have to be able to talk about everything. So the boudoir is just a microcosm of everyday living. So talking about the dishes, talking about the toilet seat being left up, talking about how you saw out of the corner of his eye checking out another woman, like, hey, here's how I felt, and you can dive into it, and you might end up crying.